Sheriff's Office. I want to welcome you all to today's town hall. If you could all please stand and face the American flag, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may take your seats. Before we get started today, I want to inform you all that next week on 9/11, we will be hosting a 9/11 tribute at Black Sheep at the Silver Lake Mall starting at 11 o'clock. Let's get to it. I'm going to introduce Sheriff Bob Norris, who's going to go through today's town hall and talk about scams and some of the scammers we're seeing and the end of season stats. Sheriff Norris.
Thanks, Jeremy. Before we get started, we'd like to talk about some current events that have occurred over the week, especially over the weekend. Certainly the iconic Wolf Lodge destruction of that building. One of our employees is the son of the longtime managers there, and I responded out to that scene and quickly discovered it was more than a structure that was being burned, but part of our community and the fabric of our community was being burned. So if you could keep them in your prayers, the owner, the longtime caretakers, managers, and all the employees, that would be great. Another thing that's been floating around social media that we'd like to put a halt to is that this sheriff has testified in front of legislative hearings on strengthening Idaho's laws against illegal immigration. This sheriff has testified and come out against lawmakers who want to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens. This sheriff has said, I will never issue a driver's license to an illegal alien, to somebody who has come here illegally. And so we've got this draft report that is floating around, and it is 100% false. We do have an email from one of the supervising agents here in Seattle, which is our region for housing these inmates. And he came out and said, this is false, 100% false. We do cooperate, and we are a very, very aggressive agency when it comes to illegal immigration. So just want to put that to rest. Also, oh my, on Tuesday, that ended our official season from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And we are going on 3 good years of our Marine Division. So as of right now, let me back up. Kootenai County waterways are the busiest waterways in the state of Idaho. Hands down, the absolute busiest. We have 18 lakes and about 60 miles of shoreline that we have to cover. And not one, but not two, but this is year 3 where we have not had a vessel-related death, a vessel-related critical injury, or a major vessel-on-vessel accident. So we have part of our, in fact, Kevin Smart is the captain of the Marine team. And Kevin, you guys are doing a great job. Lieutenant Klinkafus used to be part of that, but certainly some of his direction was part of that. But that is really unheard of, that we would have 3 years of no critical injuries, no deaths, and no vessel on vessel. Now, mind you, according to the code, any damage over $1,500 on a boat is considered reportable. Well, I got to say that if you sneeze and if you break your canopy bar, that's going to be $1,500. So we should probably update that to maybe put it a little higher dollar amount, but certainly that is a great stat for the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. We're very, very proud of that. Some of the highlighted citations that we have 51 OUIs at this time. Like I said, we have vessel damages and crashes, but there was no major damage to those where somebody was critically injured. We have 46 wake violations. Negligent operation. If you recreate on the waterways, it's likely that a watercraft came within 50 feet of your vessel. Those are very, very dangerous, especially your PWCs, your personal watercraft. That's where a lot of our accidents come from. So we try to focus on some of those violations that are more likely to lead to a incident that causes injury or death. And we had 48 life jacket violations, or life jack in this particular case. So, but something we have never done before. We'd like to give you just a short synopsis of how the fair went. This fair was the second or third year where they've done a 10-day fair. And we have to say we have not had one use of force at this particular fair. A use of force is a situation between a law enforcement officer and a patron, where generally in these situations they're intoxicated and they're not cooperating with law enforcement, and we would have to either use force to subdue them or we would have to escort them. So we didn't have any uses of force. We did have one arrest, and that one arrest had to do with a illegal alien who came to this country on a cruise line and debarked in Florida and came directly to North Idaho. And he's been here for about a year and a half. We got a call that he was acting suspicious around kids. So deputies responded, conducted an investigation, did not find probable cause for an arrest. But like we do on all contacts with people who are here illegally, we called Border Patrol. Border Patrol came immediately, and he was arrested. So he is pending court. He is pending court, and this was a Indian national. So he came from the country of India. So all in all, we had a pretty successful fair too, from a law enforcement standpoint. I understand they broke some records, but from a law enforcement standpoint, it was a pretty low level event. So one of the reasons why I want to embark on a series of town halls on this particular subject is because we are not reaching a particular segment of our community. We do a lot of education out in social media. I'm going to embark on some CDA press ads, but as much as we do, we're still not hitting a particular segment of our population. So we have couples here in Kootenai County and individuals that are being scammed to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have a couple in their 70s who got a phone call that said, "Congratulations, you have won the Publisher Clearinghouse, but you just need to pay your taxes and fees up front." And to the tune of about $140,000, they took money out and they deposited it into a Bitcoin machine or similar. And when they did that, they got another phone call. "Well, you're going to get a little bit more money than what we had originally thought. We just need a little bit more from you to pay the taxes. He goes, I don't have any more money. I do have a 1971 Superbird that is worth some money, and I restored it about 20 years ago. They said, we'll take it. So they, the couple shipped their car down south to a location in California, and that car is now entered as a stolen vehicle. But this particular couple, to the tune of about $180,000. And so that is a current scam, although that one is not as popular as this one. This one has to do with you missed jury duty, Charity, and now that you missed jury duty, there's a warrant for your arrest. But today is your lucky day. Yes, we are going to be able to resolve that and recall that warrant if you pay $5,000. Now, in this particular case, it's a 35-year-old woman. I don't know how, I'm not saying that Charity's a 35-year-old woman. She could be a lot younger than that. But this was a 35-year-old woman who we would have thought would likely be on social media, but is not, and did not hear some of our recurring advisories not to give these people money. So they will use spoof apps that will even say that the incoming call is from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. And they'll even use real names of people that are people on the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. And they will sound so confident that you are in violation of the law and that you have to pay this money. So that's a current one. That one is widely spread. We get phone calls frequently on that one. So please be aware of that. These Bitcoin machines, once you put money into these Bitcoin machines, and some of the more popular ones, which I've already started a conversation with some city officials to put some sort of an advisory or something outside of these machines. Once you put the money in there, it's being picked up in Romania, Russia, China, Haiti, and it's gone. Now, I did have a conversation with the FBI, who has reach in those countries. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office does not have personnel in those countries to have reach in those countries to be able to conduct an investigation. However, I'm going to tell you what they told me. You're probably not going to like it. We don't do anything with those investigations. Sheriff, we just have too many of them. If we started to conduct an investigation on every single one of them, we wouldn't be doing anything else. So what they tell me is that those investigations go into a round file that is never investigated. So I do have an ask for you today, a call to action, if you will. I'm asking you to tell 10 of your friends or neighbors, because we are just not hitting a portion of the population through social media and other means. So I'm asking you to please make it a topic of conversation amongst neighbors, family gatherings, and what have you. Lisa, do we have enough of these to pass out? Okay, can we pass out some of these? So if you don't have one of the, if you don't have one of these pieces of paper that say, consider the following, if you don't have one of those, can you raise your hand so we can get you one of those? Right over here in the middle here, Terry. Thank you. So I want to go over each and every one of these because these are unique to our county right here, where if we put together some effort to this area, hopefully we can make an impact and hopefully we can stop people from getting scammed. Obviously, number one, do not send money to any unknown sources. Do not, under any circumstances, go to any machine, no matter how confident that person on the phone or in person says. You know, people where we got the word con man comes from? Con man comes from confidence. So that's where we get the term con man. And a lot of these people, they're cons and they're trying to receive money from you based on this con. Call or visit your financial institution on suspicious activity using established contact information. What happens is they'll call you and say, your Charles Schwab account has been compromised. We need to move that money. When we see that you have a Wells Fargo account, they do some intel. They do some degree of intel. We see you have a Wells Fargo account. You need to call the Wells Fargo fraud hotline. Here's the number. So then that con person is telling somebody to call this number, and then it goes directly to the thieves. And they'll answer it, Wells Fargo fraud may help you. And then that's another method in which they're currently getting your account numbers and stealing money. Had another situation where a couple at home, your Charles Schwab account has been compromised. We'll take care of everything. We set up a new account number. Here it is, $105,000. So only use established contact information for contacting your financial institutions. Confer with a trusted family member, friend, or advisor regarding unusual activity. If somebody would have just had a conversation with that couple, or the other couple with the 105 and the other couple with the 45, we could have eliminated this. So consider when you have these conversations with friends and neighbors, hey, if you ever have a question regarding it, let me know. Consider a credit reporting agency. It's something of personal choice. You know, some of them do cost money, so that's going to be a personal choice. And if you believe that it is suspicious, don't hesitate to call your law enforcement agency where your home is. So if you live in Athol, that would be the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. If you live in Hayden, it's the Sheriff's Office. But if you live in the incorporated area of City Coeur d'Alene, that would be Coeur d'Alene. Now there's two other ones here. And talking to experts that are in the field, I am guilty of this. I don't do it. However, consider using a two-factor authentication for your financial accounts. And something that I'm a suspect of or a victim of is not changing your passwords often enough. Because what these thieves do, they will use these compromised passwords, and we'll get to Kootenai Health in a second. We'll have these compromised passwords, and then they'll just go onto the accounts until they're able to access it. So change your passwords frequently. There was a data breach at Kootenai Health, So that is real. That is not fake news. That is something that we all need to be aware of. But these people, it's only going to get worse. And I have Detective Campbell, Terry Campbell. He's got the light blue shirt back there. Terry, raise your hand. Terry handles a lot of these cases. And Terry, come on up here for a second. I know. He doesn't like the limelight. He's probably going to tell me about it later. Terry, in your opinion, do you believe that we are going to see more or less of these types of crimes?
Oh, it's only increasing, sir. It's, and the new thing is the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. They've discovered that, the bad guys have discovered this. It used to be gift cards, but that was they had to do a little bit of work to make that happen. The cryptocurrencies, that money is just gone. It's, we can't get the money out of the machines, the ATM machines, because they committed no crime. It's just like the ATM at the bank. That money is gone. So please be aware that no governmental agency, and tell your friends, tell your relations, no governmental agency will ever direct you to use an ATM or buy any kind of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency.
Thanks, Terry. And Terry's going to be around for any Q&A that you might have a question on this particular subject, because he's been working quite a few of them. Another situation where Terry works is vulnerable adult abuse. And you would think that some of our large online retailers would want to cooperate with those types of things. And just not the case. Just not the case. They put roadblocks in front of us frequently because a vulnerable adult is being stolen from, and they would say, okay, well, where are these packages being delivered to? Oh, we can't tell you that. I'm sorry. This person's got $40,000 stolen from them, and we want to know where the thief is sending the packages to. And in that particular case, it was a caretaker that was being paid to care for this individual. So yeah, these are current scams right here in Kootenai County. So I would say the number one is likely you missed jury duty. That's a big one. You have a traffic warrant that we can take care of right now. That's another one. But we will never call you on these things. We will never, ever, ever call you to say that you can take care of this. Now, we might show up at your door, and that's when you should be really concerned. If we show up at your door, that's where you should be really concerned, because you might be a guest of our bed and breakfast for a short period of time. But there you go. So, but we will not, absolutely not, call you. Do not take any direction from anybody that calls you, and refer to these. Consider the following 4 scams right here in Kootenai County. And with that, we will take some questions. Yes, sir.
With regard to the Kootenai scam, they have set up free credit monitoring with some company I've never heard of. And we use Equifax for these too.
Right.
I get a slew of emails that claim to be from Equifax.
Right.
It says log in. Never log in. Go on www.equifax, go in on your own, and then log in, but never click on the screen, because you don't know what's going on.
Right. So the comment was, you'll get an email or a text message, and there might be one digit that is just off. And you think it's going to Equifax to, oh, here, you know what, you have a free account, go ahead and log in, give us your social security number, and give us all of this banking information. But it is not the real Equifax. So there are some due diligence that you have to do. You know, I have had a 90-year-old father. We've eventually had to take the internet away from him because he was just getting scammed too much. And so we eventually had to take it away. Because once they get you once, they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming, keep coming. Did you have a question, Journey?
Is the text that's been going around, we need help to deliver your package, a scam?
Do not press on it. Yeah, do not press on it. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, have you ever received a text in which your package is delayed? Go ahead and press on here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, do not do it. Yes, sir, in the green shirt.
I get calls on my phone, and I've been ignoring basically finally answered, but they're asking about Medicare card. These are all from Idaho, they're from Idaho Falls, or from all this, and it's asking each time, the 2 times I answer, they want to say, did you know your Medicare thing expired? What can we do? I mean, I guess they're using spooking the numbers or whatever you
Right.
call it. What can we do to
Well,
tell them?
I would say, well, what's your number? I'll call you back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your number? I'll call you back. But I still wouldn't provide them with any information. I would still do some more due diligence. And, you know, the reason why I bring some support staff here is because Terry works these cases every day. Terry, have you seen anything as it pertains to healthcare information that it was a nexus to healthcare?
I don't have any current active cases regarding the Medicare
Right.
text messages that have been going around. I know even my mother has them. She just ignores them. And that's my advice to you all. Just ignore them.
And I saw a hand over here. Storm, yeah, go ahead.
Right now, I think a lot of us are being inundated too with requests for donations for different political campaign
Right.
things. And I teach cybersecurity, and I would say never give any information, any personal information, no matter how much you might want to a voice on the phone. Again, like you said, find the website directly, go directly to it, speak to an agent there. You know, I'm now getting 10 or 12 requests a day through email, through text. Support this, support that.
Right.
And I would just advise you, as much as you want to support, go to the official
Right.
channel.
And that's a good point. And I always like to make sure any donated dollars stay locally. You know, sometimes you have some of these national entities, and they'll say that X percentage goes to X, but then when you do your homework, you'll see that that's really a very, very small percentage of the actual money donated. So we have a lot of good entities here that do a lot of good work, and certainly keeping it local, if it's a local issue, I'm always a fan of. Yes, sir.
I just recently, in the last week of the meeting, I'm a firm believer in 2 ID authentication on your accounts. I've always had that for the last.
But how do you remember all of those? That's how do you remember them?
This is quite wrong. All my passwords are right here.
Right.
Oh, man.
And that's just a old school.
Okay, I interrupted. So the two-factor.
It's not common to go in all your checking account, savings account, and do your password, and it says, oh, send a text message with your 4-digit or 6-digit authentication code to your phone. I've got 2 of these that just appeared on my phone. I didn't request them. But they came, press on this to, here's your authorization code. I went to the bank and it says, can you check to see if you send anything like this? Nope. Yeah. So that's a scam that I received. You just get that. When you get that 2-level authentication code, that's not always. What you ask for, don't respond to that.
I'm telling you, it's rampant, and it's only going to get worse. It is rampant, and it is only going to get worse. Yes, ma'am.
On the credit monitoring Equifax everyone, they're private corporations, they're for profit. They do not guard your stuff. What we did was we froze our accounts. When we need them, we release it for 24 hours, and then it gets refrozen. So if this Kootenai Health thing has invaded your stuff, you get all your information on Social Security and whatnot, I would freeze the account.
Did everybody hear that? So she has some experience with freezing the account pending probably changing of passwords and a securing of the account.
No, just if you need credit and somebody says we need to check one of these credit firms, you just have it unfrozen for 24 hours.
Gotcha. I saw another question over here.
Again, I get a lot of advisors because I manage a lot of crypto type stuff. And AI is now being used to even spoof people's voices, right? So you could get a call from Sheriff Norris saying, hey, I need you to respond to this right now. Well, like you said, I'm not gonna call you. So I would tell you that the world's probably not gonna stop spinning. If you say, let's just pause and we'll work on this later and I need to validate some things and just, anytime anybody wants anything from me, it's not face
Right.
to face, I'm always.
So I have a financial institution that has recently said, hey, you can set up this voice recognition. And then it takes you through 4 or 5 prompts, and I finally got, okay, I ain't got time for this, you know. But generally, you know, I like to go into a brick and mortar location to do these things. I just feel more comfortable with it. So use established numbers and use established businesses that have a brick and mortar locally. Consider those options also. Yes, ma'am, in the back. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh.
I just wanted to reiterate, I can barely hear what that lady said, but you didn't really repeat, so that it was clear back there.
Can we get a,
When CrowdStrike, which was the most recent global internet attack that affected businesses across the world, the one thing that they said is go to your credit score people. You know, whether you only have Experian, but there's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Go to each of those sites independently and call them, and they'll prompt you through how to get in there for create an account that you don't have, because they have the ability to access all of your information, your mortgage, your credit cards, everything, including Social Security. So that was the number one thing that went out after CrowdStrike hit about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And it's still ongoing. People are still trying to get patches and fixes for that. So I highly recommend that people do that, and, because that's what my financial advisor said. First thing out of his mouth was, get a hold of your credit, not your credit union, but the credit score companies. Even if all you have is one, like Experian, you have to go to all 3 individually
Right.
and tell them to freeze your account. And once your account is frozen, no one can access it to look at your personal information, your accounts, your credit cards, your mortgage, your credit scores, any of your information. And then when you want, and I know I'm repeating what the lady said, but I barely heard it, and I thought that was really critical as far as what my financial advisor said. And then when you do want to open up your credit account, because you want a creditor to check your credit score because you're buying a house or you're applying for a credit card or whatever it is, you unfreeze it on all 3 just for that 24-hour period, and then you freeze it back again. So you have total control over that.
It-
I just wanted to clarify.
perfect. And is that essentially what you said? Okay, perfect. Yep. So, perfect.
You gotta put that closer to your face.
I do? Okay. If you go to a bank or a credit union or a mortgage company and they want to access your credit score because it's frozen, ask them, which credit bureau are you going to access?
Yeah, they usually.
And if they say Transamerica or TransUnion, that's the only one you want to release your data to. Forget Equifax and the other one. So make sure to ask which one they're going to use.
Hi, how you doing?
One was from Medicare saying that, oh, sorry, saying they were going to send me a plastic Medicare card. That obviously was a scam. because Medicare doesn't send you cards that have been laminated, and they don't call usually, if ever. And Social Security called saying I needed, what benefits would I like to have? That obviously was a scan that had been decided by me, and Social Security, once again, doesn't call unless you set up an appointment direct with Social Security. Then the third one, I was part of the millions, and my late husband, of Social Security being breached and the dark web. So I did what was wonderfully suggested, and all 3 accounts are frozen. Plus AT&T compromised my number on the cell phone. So AT&T no longer exists, so they can't use that compromised number. I think that's all the compromises so far. So that's why my late husband, Forrest, always liked pencil and paper. It can't be breached, just to put it in comment there. But I know we're dealing with tech.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions on other subjects, we have representatives from our patrol. We have representatives from the jail. It can be on anything, not necessarily this particular subject, but anything at all. So I see a couple more hands. Yes, sir.
How do you find out about somebody being scammed if they don't know that they're being scammed?
Well, we have to, as a community, really help in the education of this. What happens often on this Bitcoin situation, they'll say, okay, will you stay on the phone with me? And then they'll stay on the phone with them when they go to Wells Fargo. And then from Wells Fargo, they'll go to Freddie Meyer or another location which is popular, the Fast Trip over on Hayden and Government Way. And then as soon as that money gets deposited, they hang up on them. So many times you're not going to know, but you can, we're asking you to get the message out, to not engage in individuals that want your money and want you to go to a particular location to put in a machine. That's just not how legitimate businesses conduct business. So, I'm with you. I mean, these people sound so confident when they are on the phone or in person. They sound so confident, but many times they have no experience whatsoever from having an online virus to being a deputy sheriff or a court officer telling you have a warrant. They're con men and women. So we want you not to engage in those. Sometimes I get them, and I say, oh, hold on a second, and hey, fraud department, let me help you, from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, and they click. But we want you to not engage.
Has nothing to do with scams. But
Sure.
I hear rumors that businesses are not prosecuting shoplifters, that this is an easy area to shoplift. Do you have a comment?
You know, I know that there are some big department stores that their policies come in and out. So there might be some times where they will and sometimes where they won't. But it is a misdemeanor committed in their presence. So we really we can't make the arrest or process the individual. We always encourage that there's a prosecution. There might be some cases if a child is involved, a 9, 10, 11-year-old that steals some candy or something like that, that maybe there's another option to have a counseling session with the parents. But generally, if you're an adult and generally if you're stealing meat or alcohol, then we probably would want them to prosecute. But that's up to the individual entity. But I've not seen that widespread. Yeah, I have not seen that widespread. Yes, sir.
Have you seen any attacks on personal property? In other words, through the assessor's office, which has public record, people go in there and take loans out on other people's property somehow. I've heard that happen. I don't know if it's happened in Kootenai County or the city, but
Right.
are you aware of anything like that?
You know, we saw a lot of that happening in the early 2000s, but we have not seen that here in Kootenai County recently. They've put some checks and balances in where they will notify you in the event that there's a change of deed and what have you. So we have not seen that here in Kootenai County.
The assessor does notify people?
We've not seen that here in Kootenai County, yeah. That's a problem. But there was a problem there at one time, yes, but no.
You have him show up at one of these. You wouldn't get past the title.
Right. Gotcha. Any other questions?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
We have, do the dope guys have an overwhelming amount of narcotic investigations going on?
The question is, does our team, our dope guys, have, and I'm quoting, a lot of work right now, or what was it, Jim?
Do they have a large quantity of narcotic investigations?
Yes, yes. So fentanyl is absolutely law enforcement's number one problem here in Kootenai County. It's cheap. You can get fentanyl for $3, $4, $5 a pill. So that is the number one problem, and it is pretty prevalent in our community.
I appreciate that. It's a two-part question, Sheriff. The second part is this, is that I've gone from patrol level all the way up to the undersheriff. We had a conversation over here. He said he'd look into it last Wednesday when we were here. So I want to make an offer. So I'm going to sell my house in the near future. So I'd like to give a gift to the Kootenai County, okay? And it has to be agreed upon, the investigation, not just the department. I have a little bit of wisdom on how to do the investigation because I know firsthand who the three salesmen are, and it has nothing been done at least in 8 months. And I just had a guy last night creep around my truck at 1:21 in the morning around my truck and beelined it to one of the houses very close to me. And I noticed a couple of the houses are completely blacked out. Never used to be like that before. So I want to say if in the near future that I can get with the representative of the Sheriff's Department, we can come to an agreement on how the investigation will go. I do have a background, you know that, Bob, already, okay? And I'll pay for it. I want these 3 individuals arrested. I will pay for it, the whole cost, okay?
So
There has to be 2 people that do the takedown and in the investigation, and I will pay for it.
So controlled by situations, it takes more than 2 deputies, but I assure you, and I promise you, Jim, that we have a very, very aggressive unit that combats drugs in our communities, especially our neighborhoods. And I am vaguely familiar with your situation with the neighbors, but I am confident, I am 100% confident that if you let Under Sheriff Nelson or Captain Smart know that we've invested hours over there, because these investigations take time to develop. But I promise you, these detectives, they want to work, and they find a lot of it.
I'll just simply say, just so you're aware of it, maybe you're not aware of it, but I'm gonna make a thing. I'm giving the undersheriff a little bit more leeway time, because I know things take time. I will just say this, just for the record, it's been a minimum of 8 months. I've talked to local patrol people. I walked into the detective bureau and I handed a detailed format, and I know that I know how to write a report, because I was trained by LA's law professor, so I was pretty good. So I gave a detailed report. I gave it to Detective Mahan. We had a decent conversation. He finally came out and answered the door, because no one comes and answers the door. But he got a little bit nervous and he rolled it up. I asked him to give it to the dope sergeant. He said he would. I never heard anything from the dope sergeant. Then I went in to the office and I gave a detailed information written out, and I asked to give it to the watch commander. One of the volunteers or civilians there, I don't know, he's looking at it, he wouldn't take it. I said, could you just please give it to the watch commander? It had everything on it. And if you asked me to write a report afterwards, Bob, you'd be proud of my report. So
I'm sure I would, Jim. So, our K-9 team and our...
He didn't do nothing, the watch commander. He didn't do nothing. It's been months on end.
Right.
So I'm not getting anywhere.
Right. Our K-9 team and our dope team has the highest recovery of contraband in the state of Idaho. We take a lot of drugs off the street. So if you could talk to Lieutenant Maxwell and see what the status of that investigation is. Generally, we don't like to talk about specific investigations out in public because if we've got hours invested in something and then somebody says, hey, your neighbor Jim was talking smack about his neighbors over here. And so we generally don't like to talk about specific cases because it could compromise them. So we'll take two more, Charity and.
Didn't quite catch what you said, that Kootenai County has the highest what now? In the-
Yeah, so we have the highest, our K-9 team has the highest recovery of narcotics in the state of Idaho. And is it true in the state of Washington? Somebody, Kevin? State of Washington for Harvey's dog? Harvey's dog, do we have the biggest recovery of dope in the state of Washington also? Harvey Ballman's dog?
Yeah, it's gonna be at least in the top three, is my understanding.
Right,
I don't know
yeah.
if we've confirmed that it's
So,
like the
so
biggest
last
one,
time
but
that we had this conversation, Deputy Ballman had the highest recovery of narcotics in the state of Washington and in Idaho. Yeah.
In a single bus, right?
That was a single bust, yes. Yes, ma'am.
I haven't heard any conversation about it yet, I'm just curious, what is our status as far as your jurisdiction here in North Idaho regarding illegal aliens, border crossings, what you're seeing? My granddaughter and I had an encounter downtown on Sherman one day with about 8 very tall men from another color from another country.
Right.
And it was at the point where I had told her, go to my car.
Right.
And it was parked elsewhere because I was prepared to defend myself.
Right. So we have illegal immigration here. We do. We have illegal immigration and we have legal immigration. We have seed planters that have been coming up here for decades from different countries. We have large businesses that employ H-1B2 workers. We do have that. They have an apartment on Sherman and 15th. We do have it here. Absolutely, we do. In my opinion, Bob Norris, I believe if somebody is here illegally, I should be able to go arrest them, take them to the deportation center in Seattle and have them deported. However, that is not what the United States Supreme Court says. So the United States Supreme Court, I am not a United States Supreme Court justice. I don't believe in the ruling which gives people who are here illegally Fourth Amendment protection. So I can't come up to you and say, Charity, let me see your passport. Let me see I think you're here illegally. Now, do I believe if somebody here is illegally, and I want to stress this, because there are people that have turned my words and have done some things on video that are not true. So I'm being very, very clear. I believe, because everybody wants me to follow the Constitution, right? Right? Everybody wants me to follow the Constitution, right? So I believe personally, if somebody's here illegally, we should ship them out. However, there's a Fourth Amendment protection that I have to have probable cause to approach somebody, and I have to have probable cause to detain them. A great example was what I just talked to you about with we had suspicion that an individual was committing a crime. This was at the fair. So we conducted an investigation. We could not determine that he committed a crime. Where is he at today? He's at the Kootenai County Bed and Breakfast because we called ICE. ICE and Border Patrol, they have no work in Washington because the state legislature has handcuffed sheriffs in the state of Washington to cooperate with ICE and law enforcement, but specifically sheriffs as it pertains to detaining people. So I'm going to be very clear about this because there are people that twist my words. The United States Supreme Court, and I am not a United States Supreme Court justice, has determined that I have to have probable cause to approach people. We had a town hall meeting when I had the section chief for Border Patrol, and I had Stan Mortensen. And I said, Stan, I go, if there's anything that's not consistent with case law, written law, please comment. And he agreed. Stan Mortensen, the county prosecutor, said that we have to have probable cause. We had probable cause at the fair, suspicious activity, okay? So we detained him, conducted an investigation. But I am sure there's going to be some people that say, oh, you know what? He thinks that they should have all the rights. No, I don't. I don't think they should allow, I don't think you've come here illegally, you should have guns, period. And I know that there's things that are going through our court systems that may allow illegal aliens to have guns. And I'm absolutely opposed to that, 100% opposed to that. So, but we need to be involved at the federal level too. We need to know who our congressmen and women are and who our senators are, and to make sure that they're fighting for the values of Idahoans. So we all need to be involved here. I can be that stopgap for many things that I think that are, overreach. I've done it. We've certainly have a list of people that the federal government doesn't believe that I should have given enhanced concealed weapon permits to. So we sat down and she said, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? I said, this was a domestic violence charge 20 years ago, and she's never had an arrest or contact since then. Yeah, I issued a CCW. Federal government says that's an automatic disqualifier for her to be arrested for domestic violence, no weapon used and no injuries. You should not have issued a CCW, an enhanced. I said, who issues CCWs? Is it the federal government or the sheriff's office? Well, the sheriff does. Like, okay. So she still has her CCW. She wanted to protect her family when they go out, and so yes. Another person had an event for tax evasion. Automatic disqualifier. I think it was like $4,000 20 years ago. I issued it. That's an automatic disqualifier. I'm sorry. These are things that I do without a lot of fanfare. I just do them. We have entities that want to take guns on certain searches, federal entities. And it has nothing to do with the probationer or parolee. I said, no, we're not doing that. He's visiting his uncle's house. His uncle has hunting rifles. We're not taking that. We're not doing that. So these are things that I do. So I want to be very, very clear. I, Robert Norris, your sheriff, believes that if somebody is here illegally, I should be able to arrest them. However, we don't want to be under a consent decree. We don't want your sheriff arrested for civil rights violations. So I have to abide by the law. I did testify in the legislature here in Idaho that we need to strengthen our borders. We need to make crimes that are being committed by people who come here illegally so uncomfortable when they commit them that they go to Washington and they go to Oregon and they go to California. And that's part of my strategy, to make people feel uncomfortable. When you're committing a crime, whether you're here illegally or legally, I want you to change your behavior if you're here legally. If not, then I want you to leave. But the illegal ones, I want them to be gone and come do it the right way. So is there any, and I want to ask this question again, because sure enough, by noon, somebody's going to put something out on social media that the sheriff believes that illegal aliens should have all the rights of everybody else. No, I don't. But the Supreme Court has argued that. So, any questions on that subject? Now, I will tell you this. Has everybody seen the video in, I think it was Aurora, Colorado? Okay. Okay. Now, if an illegal alien or a criminal or a gangster, if they feel comfortable enough to walk around in an apartment complex with a rifle and a handgun and a sledgehammer, that mayor is lying to each and every resident of Aurora, because that is not an isolated incident. If they feel that comfortable to do that, there is a problem in Aurora, Colorado. So what we need to do is we need to have a strong sheriff's office. We need to have, when I took office, we had like 20 plus vacancies in our patrol. Right now, I think we're going to hire 2. We got 4. So we have 4. Now, if this was an agency of 500, that's not a big deal. But, we only have about 100 patrol deputies. So 20% of them I had vacant. But when we can hire, and like we have been, now we can address some of these things, because Aurora, Colorado will never happen here in Kootenai County. I promise you. So we need people that exercise their Second Amendment right. We need people to defend themselves. We need people to defend their property, their life, and help their neighbors. Absolutely we do. So, and part of that strategy is having a strong sheriff's office, because if it gets to the point like it did in Colorado, it's too late. It is absolutely too late. So we have to weed out that criminal behavior, that illegal alien behavior, and we have to weed it out and get these people out of here. So.
One last comment.
Sure.
From a retired police chief from California, and he said, "You never have to take your community back if you never gave it up."
There you go. That's true. Yeah. Oh, he said, in fact, you say it. Come on up.
This is a friend of mine, retired police chief from California, who unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago. But he said in his city, "You never have to take your city back if you never gave it up."
Very good. Like I said, that situation will never, ever happen in Kootenai County, period. And I don't care if you live in an incorporated city or not. My number one responsibility is maintain peace in the whole county, whether you're in an incorporated city or not. That is the number one responsibility of a county sheriff here in the state of Idaho, per the Idaho Constitution. So that will never happen in any area in Kootenai County. Boise, that's a whole different animal. That's a whole different animal, but. All right, well, we're having our 9/11 event next week, 11 a.m., Silver Lake Mall over there by Black Sheep. Hope to see many of you there. The reason why we do those is that we believe that the 9/11 events have diminished over the years, and it's a quick ceremony. We try to be in and out in about 30 minutes, and we try to, pay tribute to those who lost their life. So come on out on September the 11th. So thanks for coming out.